Hi, I'm Pamela from DIY Vibes, and I want to welcome you to my channel. If you want to see some future videos, please hit the subscribe button below, and don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. I will also leave a list of these supplies that you see here in the description. So the first thing we're going to do is paint our wooden discs. I always use this color. It's called plaster. I bought this chalk paint at Walmart, and why I like it is because it's not a true white white and it's not a yellow ivory. It's somewhere in between. And when I'm doing farmhouse style projects, I just like that it gives it a little less brightness. The eggs that I decided to use today are more of a muted pastel speckled egg. So if you are going to use a different color, you might want to paint these discs something totally different. You might want to leave them natural. You could stain them. You could use any color, gold, silver, or even an Easter color if you want. Um, but I wanted to go with more of a rustic look, and what I'm going to do after I paint these is actually put on a dark wax to even make them look a little more rustic. So I've got those painted, and I've already done another set, and I want to show you the difference between what it would look like with just paint and then what it's going to look like with putting this wax on it. Now this wax is just a finishing, it's called paste finishing wax, and they have it in dark, and it's just exactly what that is. It's just a wax and it's dark like that, and when it goes on, then it's like a glaze. And I'm not sure if you can see it in that particular example, but the one on the left has it already and the one on the right doesn't. And it just gives it a little bit more shadowy, rustic look. Because this glaze will actually catch in between the wood, the grooves on the wood catches this. And especially on the outside where it's rough, it will really pick up color. So I take my rag and I kind of just go over the whole thing first with as much wax as I want. And if you think that you have a little extra, you can always just wipe it off. So I try to go over the whole thing, and then I fold it, my rag, and I kind of just get any excess off on the sides, and then you can reevaluate. And if you don't think that you have enough, which I didn't, see how that caught and it's a little darker. I really wanted that effect, especially since this is a set. So one's going to be on the bottom and one's going to be on the top. So of course I want them to kind of look the same. So I added just a little bit more around that rough edge. I really like how the edge is rough like that instead of sanding it down, which you could do if you didn't like that. So next we need to drill the hole. And in order to do that, we need to find the middle of the wooden disc. And how you find the middle of a wooden disc is you take the diameter of it and you cut it in half. So I make a little mark where that middle is, and then I kind of make two marks because I want to draw a line. I did it above the tape measure and below. I'm going to draw a line from one to the other. And then I will turn the disc, and I'll end up doing the same thing after I turn the disc a 90-degree angle. And what you'll get is two lines that are intersecting, and where they intersect in the middle is where your center is going to be. So it's a little tricky, just the way the size of my measuring tape and how small this disc is. So it took me a couple measurements to try, but I think I got it. And of course, with anything, every time you're going to either cut a board or wood or drill into it where you can't undo it, you always just want to double check. So I'm just kind of measuring and double checking my numbers just to make sure that when I drill, it's right in the center. Because if you don't have it in the center, then your dowel that's going in there is actually going to be on an angle. And then when you put your eggs on it, it's always going to look like it's leaning. And there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. It's just because your dowel was not in the center of this. And that's why this is so important. And that's why I'm kind of taking a little more time just to double check. Like I think I've got my middle part, but I just wanted to double check because like I said, this came in a pack of 4, which I needed. I did not have any extra wooden discs for this. So I'm kind of just marking my center so that I can take my drill. And what I'm doing is I have got a quarter-inch drill bit in there. And if you see, there's tape on there. So I took a tape measure and I had a half an inch going up the drill bit, and then I put tape where that half inch ended. So when I actually drill into the wooden disc, if I drill up to that actual tape mark, then the drill hole will only be a half an inch. And that way I know I'm not going through, and I know that it's going to be consistent on each of my wooden discs. So there you go. Perfect in the middle. And one thing that I did realize too, I made another set of these. I actually marked the center before painting, and I think I'd go back to that method. I mean, this is fine. You just erase. The eggs are going to cover it up. If it's the underside of the top one, it's never going to show anyway. But I did realize that I did it differently before. Okay, so now on to the actual egg itself. My eggs had like a little divot on the top and bottom, and even though the angle doesn't look like it's right in the middle, it really is. And so I just used that as a marker, and I drilled slowly. I held the egg, and as you can see, I even covered my hand with a glove. But I'm very comfortable with a drill. A drill. So if you're not, maybe get somebody that is. But see how slow I'm going, very, very slow. And like I said, just kind of protect your hand for safety reasons. I did try that, taking the egg apart. It did not work well. Okay, so now you have everything with the drill holes. Right there, I'm showing you that that's a rough side. Kind of check out to see what you want for your top and your bottom. The one that has the most flaws, I keep on the bottom. Then I just fit my eggs down. And on this one, I was making one that was tall enough to hold 3 eggs. And I was also going to make one that held 2 eggs as well. But if you like 4, if you like 2 of the same ones, you do you. Um, I then go to see that I've got to cut some of that dowel. So I kind of eyed it. Remember I said it's going to be a half inch to go into the dowel. So I just kind of eyed it. I marked it. And then I have this saw, this little hand saw that I like to use. It'll take just seconds to saw this. Take all the eggs off though, because that will make it more sturdy. And I first just scored it a couple times laying, and make sure that your table is protected like mine. I just scored it a couple times, and then I took it to the edge of the table actually to finish. And that's what I'm doing here. And that way your eggs can just slide, we'll fit it, and then we'll start to glue it. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. I kind of just broke off any ends. So again, I'm going to test it just to make sure that I really did not have to cut any more off. I knew I didn't cut it too short because I knew I cut it above the eggs. Find your color combination that you want, and then fit the top disc in there. There you go. And if you like it and you like that color combination, then go ahead and use the wood glue and glue it. And I like to keep mine, after I glue it, I kept mine for a good 24 hours before I actually put anything on it. Try to get as much as you can in the hole. I was not very liberal with this. I didn't really want it squishing out, but it was enough. I mean, that dowel, it's a quarter-inch drill hole, and it's a quarter-inch dowel, so they should fit pretty well. But this just keeps it in place just so it doesn't tip over when you put your candles on it. So that is my eggs with the 3 eggs, and then I made this other one with the 2 eggs. So now it's a set, and I hope you enjoyed this.